Hi and welcome to another powerful and practical Power BI training video. In this video, I will share what is basket analysis, what are its key applications, and how to perform basket analysis using Power BI. In this video, you will learn what is basket analysis and learn the key business benefits and use cases of basket analysis. Then we will learn the three key concepts of support, confidence, and lift. And then we will learn to format data for performing basket analysis, then learn to confidently write the DAX formulas to calculate support, confidence, and lift, and finally learn how to visualize and present your analysis. This is a hands-on follow-along Power BI tutorial, and to make the most of it, I will suggest that you download the exercise file. The link is provided in the description and the first pinned comment, and follow along with this tutorial. Not only you will learn, but you will also be able to have your own portfolio project ready for sharing if you are somebody who's looking for a job as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Hi, my name is Gurpreet, and my mission is to train and empower people like you with life-changing data skills. So let's now begin and understand what is basket analysis. So basket analysis is an analytical technique, and it is used by retailers to uncover the association between items. What that means is that this analysis helps to uncover the products that are commonly bought together by consumers. So for example, in the context of a grocery store, this analysis or this basket analysis might reveal that whipped cream and berries are frequently bought together. Basket analysis is sometimes also referred to as market basket analysis, but in this video, I will use the term basket analysis. Next, let us now look at some of the applications of basket analysis. Basket analysis is a very powerful tool, and it has many benefits and use cases, such as a physical retail store can adjust the store layout by placing the frequently bought together items close to each other. An online retailer can recommend the products bought together by suggesting the second product when the consumer places the first product in the cart. A retailer can create cross-selling strategies to sell the products together. And finally, a store can create promotions and pricing strategies by offering discounts for buying the products together. Now, a key thing to understand is that basket analysis is not limited to products only and retailers only. It is also useful to explore and analyze things like the page visits of a website, the questions raised in support tickets, and even the dishes ordered in a restaurant. So before we start performing the basket analysis in Power BI, there are three key concepts that are necessary to understand. Number one, support. Number two, confidence. And number three, lift. And in order to understand these three key concepts, we will be using the following sample set of 10 transactions from a grocery store. Each row represents one transaction and the two items purchased as part of that transaction. This set of items purchased in one transaction is called basket. We will be using the basket containing berries and whipped cream for our analysis. And here I have highlighted berries in red and whipped cream in blue. So there are 4 transactions containing berries and 5 transactions containing whipped cream. And there are 3 transactions containing both berries and whipped cream. These are the rows shaded in gray. Armed with this understanding of data, let's learn and understand the 3 key concepts of support, confidence, and lift. And we will begin with support, which is the easiest of the 3 concepts to understand. The support indicates the percentage of transactions that include the 2 specific products. To calculate support, we need to first calculate the number of transactions containing both the products and also calculate the total number of transactions. And support is then calculated by dividing these 2 figures as shown in the formula here. Let us now calculate support for a basket containing berries and whipped cream. The number of transactions containing both berries and whipped cream is 3, and the total number of transactions is 10. So support for a basket of berries and whipped cream is equal to 3 divided by 10, or 30%, as support is represented as a percentage. Now, a high support means that the basket analysis stats are more reliable, and additionally, higher support makes the basket of products financially more interesting Now, in a nutshell, support indicates the frequency of the products being bought together. So remember, support indicates the frequency of the products being bought together. So how often are these products being bought together? So in our case, out of 10 transactions, the 3 transactions consist of the basket of berries and whipped cream. So 30% of the time, these two are being bought together. So that's what support indicates. But this is a really small subset of the data. So that number of 30% is not the significant part here. We are trying to understand the concept. So don't expect that the real world, the numbers will be like that. In the real world, numbers of, say, 0.6% or higher are still considered quite good as well. So it depends from the business to business case scenario, what is a good support level. But this 30% is exceptional, but this is just to simplify so that you understand the concepts well. Next, let us now understand the concept of confidence. So confidence is the percentage of transactions that contain the two products together against the transactions containing one of the two products. There are always two confidence numbers, one for each of the products. And to calculate confidence for a product, we need to calculate two support values. First, we calculate the support for the basket, and secondly, we calculate support for each of the products separately. Then we use these two figures and calculate the confidence for both of the products as shown in the formulas here. So let us now understand this using our sample data set. So we already know that the support for the basket of berries and whipped cream is 30%. Now let's calculate support of berries using the formula we learned on the last slide. So number of transactions containing berries is 4. Total number of transactions is 10. So the support of berries is 4 divided by 10 or 40%. So 40% of the total transactions contain berries. Next, let's calculate the confidence of berries. So it is equal to support of the basket divided by support of berries, which is 30 divided by 40, which is equal to 75%. And in the similar way, we can calculate the confidence of whipped cream, which will be equal to 30 divided by 50 or 60%. So what do these two confidence values mean? 75% of the customers also buy whipped cream when they add berries to their basket first. And on the other hand, 60% of the customers also buy berries when they add whipped cream to their basket first. This means that there is more chance of someone also buying whipped cream when they have already added berries to their basket. So the confidence is more for berries to influence the purchase of whipped cream. So that's 75% there. So the confidence is useful because it gives the direction of cross-selling. So it's showing that if somebody buys berries, they're more likely to buy whipped cream than the other way around. So it must be noted that confidence in itself does not give us the strength of the relationship between the two products. Say one product might be a very common purchase, so that it generates high number of confidence independently from the second product. So this is where the third key concept of lift comes in, which gives us the strength of the relationship between those two products in the basket. So lift gives the strength of the relationship between a basket of two products. And to calculate lift, we need to know support of basket and also the support for the individual items in the basket. And then we can calculate lift using the formula shown here. Let us look at our sample data and calculate lift for the basket containing berries and whipped cream. We have already done the calculations and know the support values as shown here. So the lift for our basket is support of basket, which is 30%, divided by support of berries and whipped cream, that is 40% times 50% respectively, which evaluates to 1.5. Note that lift is not calculated as a percentage, but rather as a decimal number. So what does this mean? A lift value close to 1 means there is no important relationship between the two items in the basket, whereas a lift value greater than 1 indicates a strong relationship between the items in the basket. That is, those two products are frequently bought together and there is a strong chance of that happening. For our example basket of berries and whipped cream, lift value is 1.5, which indicates that consumers buy them together about 1.5 times more than it would happen by chance. So this indicates a strong relationship between berries and whipped cream basket. And finally, a lift value of less than 1 indicates that the two products are not bought together frequently. So let's recap the importance of these three key concepts. Number one, The support indicates the frequency of the products being bought together. So that means how often are these products being bought together? What's the frequency out of the total number of transactions? Number two, the confidence indicates the direction of cross-selling. So in our case, we learned that berries have more pull for whipped cream. So that direction of cross-selling is determined using confidence values. And lift indicates the strength of the relationship between the products. Okay. And that also we came with a really strong value for our basket of berries and whipped creams, indicating a really strong relationship. So now you should have a really good understanding of what is basket analysis, what is it used for, what are its key applications and use cases, and to perform it, what are the key calculations we will need to do, which is the values, calculate the values of support, confidence, and lift. And then in the practical side now, we will jump onto our computer and we will look at the whole process of preparing our data and then creating our model, creating the DAX formulas to calculate those three key calculations of support, confidence, and lift. And finally, we will look at how to visualize our data effectively to present our findings. So let's jump onto the computer and get our hands dirty. So here I have a new instance of Power BI desktop open, and I've already saved my exercise file on my desktop. If you have already not done so, make sure you go to the video description and download the exercise file and follow along, or else you can do this afterwards yourself as well. So let's get started. First things first, go to Home tab, Get Data, and it's a CSV file, so select Text CSV, and I've got this file called groceries.csv. I have obtained this data from Kaggle. There are quite a few books there where this data is available. So it's difficult to give credit to anybody, but anybody who originally created it, thank you so much for creating and sharing it on a public platform, and I hope this will be useful for everybody. So here we are. This is pretty straightforward, and all we're going to do is click on Transform Data to launch Power Query Editor. So the data preparation part is quite straightforward for this one. So we have here, we got data or items split here across multiple columns, and if you see here, each row is the products or items purchased in one transaction. So each row represents one transaction with the items split it across columns. Okay, so each transaction, some have 4 items, some have 3, some have 1, some have more as well. So this one, like in row 12, so many items in there, and some have even more as well. So this 42 has a lot more. So here it's we can see that people buy different number of items. We want to get to a point where we can create a list of all the possible combinations of 2 items from all the items here in all these transactions, and then we're going to perform a basket analysis to see which items have a strong association with each other. And we're going to use the concepts of support, confidence, and lift. So for now, what we need to do is bring this data into a form where we have the list of transactions in one column and then the list of items in the second column. So to do that, we're going to go to Add Column tab at the top and add an index column. Just click on the index column, and there we have the index column. And it adds at the end, doesn't matter, so you can leave it there, don't need to move it across. And then once the index column is selected, go to Transform tab on the ribbon and go Unpivot Columns and select Unpivot Other Columns, or you can just right click on the index column and select Unpivot Other Columns. And when we do that, we have 3 columns now with us. One is the index column, second one is the attribute column, and third is the value. So first we're going to get rid of the attribute column. We don't need it. So right click, remove. Next, we have a lot of blank rows here in the value column. So click on this drop down and uncheck the blank. So we get rid of the blank rows. And there we are. Another thing we're going to do is I'm just going to right click on the value and transform this so that we have the name of these items in capitalized. So first letter of each word is capitalized, and looks better now. If we have these showing on in report, this is more presentable. Now we're going to rename these columns. So the index column, we're going to call this as transaction ID. and the value column, we're going to call it products. Okay, so we have two columns now, transaction ID and products, and you can see here first 4 rows, 1 2 3 4, the transaction ID 0, because those 4 items that were purchased in that one transaction are split across rows now, instead of having across various columns how it was before when we started with the raw data. So that's how we have it. So you can definitely see here that we will have duplicate transaction IDs because one transaction ID is split over rows in accordance with the number of items that were part of that particular transaction. So our data is now ready. All we need to do is go to Home tab and close and apply. And by doing that, we are committing our changes and the data gets loaded into our Power BI data model. So if we go to the Report tab, on the right hand side here, we have our groceries table, which contains the products and transaction ID columns. Now the first thing we're going to calculate is the total number of transactions. So we're going to right click on groceries and say new measure. And here we're going to create a measure called total transactions. And spell it right. And it's a very simple measure. All we're going to do is we're going to count the transaction IDs, but we have to count the distinct transaction IDs because we know we have duplicates in there. So, okay, so distinct counts, and then we give it the column called transaction IDs from the groceries table and press enter, and this should give us the total number of transactions. Now, once we've done that, next thing is let's also calculate the number of products. This is just for information purposes, so understand how many products are there, and it will be same basically. So we're going to get the distinct products. So new measure, call it total products or products count. Maybe let's call it products count, sounds better. And we're going to calculate the distinct count here for the column groceries products, and there we will get the total number of products. Now I want you to go back to here to the data tab. So let's go to the data tab, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new table using DAX, and we're going to call it basket analysis. So you can go to the Home tab and click here to generate a new table, and there we have it. This table, as I said, we're going to call it basket analysis. Okay, equal to, and press Shift Enter to go to the next line because this is a bit of a formula. So what I will do is I'll start building it from inside out so that it makes full sense to you, like what we are trying to do here. So we're going to first use the values function, and we're going to give it the products column from the groceries table. And what this values column does is if you feed it one column from a table, it will generate a new one column table with only unique values. So it will remove all the duplicates and remove the blanks. So if I was to just press enter now, this will give us a new column called products, and it will have the list of values. So 170 rows. If you see right at the bottom here, 170 rows. And we also calculated a measure before to get the total number of products. So if I was to put that there, so you can see we have 170 products. So that's good. So values function gives us the unique list of products that we have in our groceries table. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to create two columns with this list of products, and we're going to calculate a product, like a Cartesian product of those, so that we get a list of all the possible combinations of these 170 products, as like citrus fruits, semi-finished bread, then citrus fruit margarine, citrus fruit ready soup, citrus fruit tropical fruit. So one with the rest of the products. Similarly, second one will all the rest of the products, so on and so forth. It's like calculating a factorial basically. But for now, the way we will do it is first we will use the select columns function, we will feed it this value. So this table, so this becomes a table, single column table, which will have 170 values in it. And we're going to give this a name. So we're going to call this product 1. And we're going to now pass the list of products again from the groceries table. And that will generate one column called product 1. Now we need to do the same thing for product 2. So we need to get 2 columns. So shift enter, and just for ease, I'm just going to copy this and paste this here. And the only thing we need to change here is, instead of products, product 1, we're going to call it product 2. So we'll have 2 columns with 170 products in there, the same products. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cross join these. So what does, let me just first write that function. So cross join these 2 columns, and what that does is, if I press enter now, we will have 2 columns, product 1, product 2, and it has 28,900 rows because it has generated all the possible combinations. But if you just do this cross join, you will see, look, you will get values like this, citrus fruit and citrus fruit. So where both columns have the same item in there or same product in there. We want to avoid that, and we want to avoid any duplicates. So for that, we have to apply filter. So we want to remove those duplicates, and where it's both products are same in both the columns. For that, we will apply a filter. And filter this cross join, result of cross join. The way we're going to filter it is, we're going to say product 1 is greater than product 2. And there, and then if I press enter now, we should have 2 columns, product 1, product 2. And if you see here, the number of rows is 14,365, whereas without the filter, it was 28,000 something, because we have removed all the rows where product 1, product 2 was equal, and also where the same combination, like whole milk, citrus fruit, and the second time citrus fruit, whole milk. So that's still the same combination. So those were removed as well. So that's why we have half of the transactions left now. So that now gives us a collection of all the possible combinations of 2 products that could go into a basket. So we have created a basket, but these are in separate columns. What we're going to do is now create a new column. So go to the top table tools here and create a new column. And we're going to create a column called basket. So basket will consist of those products across in that row particular. So let's call it basket. And this is a simple concatenation operation we are doing here. So product 1 and ampersand symbol, which is for concatenation. And we're going to insert a string in there just to make it better. So they are separated by a dash there, and then another concatenation symbol. So we are concatenating 3 strings. Product 1, then the dash with space on either side, and then the product 2. And this is because adding a column, so this is a row-wise operation that is happening. So we're calculating this for each and every row. So press enter, and there we have the basket column, which contains this combination. So this will be a unique list of all the possible basket combinations that we have for our 170 products. Okay. Now, next we're going to do is we're going to calculate the support now. Okay, so again, new column. All these calculations we are doing are row level. So that's why we are adding columns here, because we need to calculate for each basket the support, for each basket the lift, and so on and so forth. So that's why we are adding these as columns and not as measures. So here we have the support basket, or you can just call support as well, but because we will be doing other calculations in between, it makes sense if we add support basket here. Okay, now shift enter, and we're going to start by picking up for each row. So the product 1, product 2, we're going to store those in variables. So we're going to create a variable called prod 1, and we will store the product 1 for that row inside that variable. And similarly, we're going to create another variable called prod 2, and we're going to store the second product from that row. or from that basket in this variable. Next, we're going to now calculate the or find out the transactions which contain product 1 basically. So out of all the transactions that we have in the groceries table, we're going to get or extract the transactions which contain product 1. So let's create another variable. We're going to call it prod1 transactions. Okay, and shift enter here. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to just press a couple of tabs, and we're going to, let's start with again the internal function, and then we will build on it basically. So first we want to filter the products in the groceries table based on equal to prod1, where the product is equal to product 1. So we're going to get the filter function here, and we're going to pass it the table, our groceries table. That's the first parameter that we need to pass it, groceries table. And then we're going to tell what the filter is. So filter is based on the products column in the groceries table where the product is equal to prod1. So as I said, this is, remember, this is row wise. So for the first row, the prod1 is whole milk. So it will pick up the filter that based on where the product is whole milk. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to feed this result of products to the select columns function, and what we're going to do is we do now use this result of filter, give it a name of transaction ID, and not without speech marks. So remember, you have to use speech marks here. Transaction ID, and we're going to use the transaction ID column from the groceries table. And there we have, that's basically, it will give us a list of all the transactions that correspond to where the product 1 was part of those transactions. So we have received that product 1 transactions. Similarly, now we need to do the same thing for prod 2. So just for ease, we just can copy this from here and paste it here, and we're going to call this prod 2 transactions, and the filter here is for prod 2. So for first row, it's citrus fruit. So now we have two sets of transactions here, one for prod 1, one for prod 2. Now we need to find out which transactions contain both. So for that, we're going to use the function called intersect. So we're going to create another variable here. We're going to call this as both prod transactions, and we're going to use the intersect function, and we're going to give it those two lists. So prod 1 transactions comma prod 2 transactions, and that will give us, this is basically like if you know about the intersect operation. So this is the transactions which contain both prod 1 and prod 2. So we are finding an intersection of from those list of transactions for prod 1 transactions and prod 2 transactions. Okay, and next we're going to return, what are we going to return? This is where we calculate the support. So we remember the formula for support is the number of transactions which contain both the products. So how do we calculate that? We're going to use count rows, and we're going to use it on the both prod transactions variable. So this will give us the number of transactions which contain both the products, and then we're going to divide this by the total number of transactions. So we have already created a measure for it called total transactions. So we'll use that here, and let's press enter. And that's our support for basket. Now remember, this is to be calculated as a percentage, so you can change the format here to percentage, and we will leave it with accuracy up to 2 decimal places, so that's fine. So that's the support for basket. Okay, next we need to calculate the confidence, and you remember that we have to calculate confidence for both the products separately. So we're going to add a new column, and we're going to call this first one as confidence prod 1. Confidence of prod 1 or product 1, whatever you want to call it. I think prod 1 is fine for now. And I'm going to press Shift Enter, and we're going to create first the variable to get the prod 1, so similar to how we did for support. So we're going to give it basket analysis product 1 column. Next, we're going to calculate we need the total number of transactions, which we have already calculated as a measure. Now we also need to calculate the support for product 1 as well. So support prod 1, and again we will use the same way the way you did before. So we're going to use the filter function. We're going to pass it the groceries table. Then we're going to apply a filter on the products column in the groceries table, and we're going to say is it equal to prod 1, and then this is the filter function. Now we're going to pass this filter function. Basically we could do this will give us a list, so we need to count the rows that are result of this filter. So we will apply the count rows now on top of this and close this. So this will give us the number of transactions which contain prod 1, and then we're going to divide this by total transactions. So this will give us, so the support for basket is number of transactions containing both products divided by total transactions. Similarly, support for product 1 is equal to number of transactions containing prod 1 divided by total transactions. Okay, and then we return to calculate the confidence. We need the support of basket. So support of basket, that column, divided by the support of prod 1. And that will give us the confidence for product 1. So press enter, and here we should have this in percentage, change the format to percentage, and that's our confidence of product 1. And for prod 2, the formula will be same and the functions will be same. So just copy, new column, and paste this, change wherever it is prod 1 to prod 2. Remember, you change in every place, so we have to change 2, 3, this name of the variable, and this filter, and here the name of the variable again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places you have to change it, and you press enter, and you should get the confidence of prod 2. Change it the format to percentage, and there we have the confidence also calculated. And last but not the least, we have to now calculate the lift as well. For that, just add another column, and we're going to call this as lift, and press enter. We're going to do again 2 variables for prod 1, prod 2, and you should know how to do this by now. So we will just pause the product 1 column from basket analysis, and similarly for the second one we're going to pass the product 2 column. And there we have those 2. Now we need to calculate the support for product 1, support for product 2, which we have already done. We're just going to repeat those here to calculate, add the 2 variables. So product 1 support, we first use the filter to get the products from the groceries table where the product is equal to prod 1. So filter, we will pass it the groceries table, and then we will filter the groceries products column where it is equal to prod 1, and then we're going to use count rows on top of this results, and this will give us the transactions containing prod 1, number of transactions with prod 1, and then we're going to divide this by total transactions. So this gives us the support for product 1. Similarly, we're going to calculate the support for product 2, and I've just copy pasted it. We need to change is here, this, and the name of this variable to prod2. So two things, prod2 here for the filter, and the name of the variable to prod2. And now we can just calculate the lift, and the formula is the support of basket. So we know what is the support of basket, divided by the product of support of prod 1 and prod 2. So we're going to put this in a bracket, and we're going to put prod 1 support multiplied by prod 2 support, and that's our lift. Just press enter, and we're going to change this to format to a decimal number and leave it to 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's all our calculations done. One thing I want to tell you is that when you're doing something like this, creating this type of formulas, and if you're not familiar with any of the DAX functions in there, use the documentation, look at the example, and I will request you to use the Microsoft official documentation. It's pretty easy. So just name of the function, and if you type documentation, DAX function documentation, you will find that, and in there just do that, and then start from the innermost function and then build it outwards. And once you understand the result of the innermost one, then add the second one, so that you know for each step what's happening. And this will help you read and understand like really complex DAX functions as well. Another thing is to format these so that these are readable, especially once these become really big. So none of these are really complex functions here, but it could be really long functions. So what you want to do is you want to format this right way. So let's copy this DAX from here and go to internet. So I'm opening Chrome here, and if you go to DAX formatting in there, so DAX Formatter by SQL BI, in there here, just paste your DAX and say format, and it will nicely format it for you. So then you don't need to, while typing, worry about formatting it the right way. But once you have actually written your function, it's working fine, maybe then it might be a good idea to format your functions in the right way. And you can do the same thing for the rest of your DAX expressions that we have used to calculate support, confidence, and lift here. Okay, with that, we actually complete the part of doing all our analysis, creating and the total measure, and also creating the basket analysis table, and then adding the columns for support, confidence, and lift. Now we can look at the visualization. So let's go to the report tab. The first visual we want to create is a network visual, which is not part of the standard visualizations here. So you have to go here to get more visuals, and here in the search, if you type in network, and we're just going to use the light version for now. We're not going for the paid version. So just add. So this will allow you to test it out pretty easily. And import was successful. Now this is the one that has been added, zoom charts network chart. Click on it, and then to create, we're going to add in the nodes, we're going to add the product 1 and product 2 here. So in the nodes here, product 1, product 2, and in the measure here, we're going to add the lift, and this will be a sum. Okay, now we need to add some filters here so that we don't see everything. We don't want to see everything. We're going to filter out based on the lift value. So we're going to say wherever the sum of lift is greater than 2.2, and apply the filter. And also we're going to add a filter for the support, for the basket support here, and we're going to restrict this to greater than or equal to 0.06. or 0.6%. Okay, and that will now filter our chart. So let's now, we can't, because this is a free version, we don't have much access in terms of formatting it, like customization is off for us. But let's change the title of this chart first. So we're going to call this as Basket Analysis Network. Okay, and that's it in terms of, maybe let's center align it and make this a bit smaller. Okay, so that's our basket analysis network. Now, next thing is we want to add a visualization where we will use the scatter plot. This is the standard, one of the standard visuals that we have available here. And this one, we're going to add the basket in the values. So this will be, where we combine prod 1, prod 2. So that's what we are adding in the values. The x-axis will be the lift. So sum of lift. And y-axis is support. Okay. And then we need to apply the filters. So we're going to do sum of lift is greater than 2.2. Apply that. And sum of support is greater than 0.6%. Oh, why do we have a 0 there? We don't need that. 0.6%. Apply the filter. Okay, now go to the formatting of the visual, and let's say if we ever allow the category labels, we can see which basket it is, the combination. So let's make it, we will adjust the shape and size soon once we add the third visual as well, which is a simple metrics that we're going to add. So the third one, actually before we do that, let's rename this one. So we're going to call this as the basket analysis map. Okay, so go to general, title, and let's call this basket analysis map. And let's center align, I'll change the size, make it 10, and there we go. Next, we're going to now add a third visual, which, as I said, is a matrix. So just click on the matrix visual here, and in the matrix visual we're going to add the basket in the rows. So basket in the rows. And in the values we're going to add the supports. Then we're going to add the confidence for product 1, so confidence for product 1, confidence for product 2, and then lift. So just in the order we calculated them, we're just adding those. Let's make this bigger so that we can see. And the first, before we actually adjust all these, actually let's apply the filtering here. So we're going to restrict the sum of lift here. Again, we could apply the filter is greater than 2.2, and the sum of support basket is greater than 0.6%. Okay, and there we have it. Now, if you see here, if I select this, which is the root vegetables, it shows me all the baskets which are there, which have a good association. So root vegetables with beef, with frozen vegetables, with herbs, onions, and other vegetables, and you can see the support. So from here, these big ones, so this is the root vegetables. Next one is and you can see here in terms of lift and support as well. So where there is more support, so they're bought more frequently, but the strength of the relationship is quite low for root vegetables and other vegetables. This one, root vegetables and beef, looks like there is good amount of lift, so there's strong relationship, and they're bought frequently as well. Okay, so that's how you can interpret there, and you will be able to, the whole idea is there are certain combinations of items that are very popular and we know about them. So the business will know about those, as I said, like milk and bread. Everybody knows about that. But things like these, you will discover, like say, let's go to whipped sour cream. And here, whipped, so with berries, with butter, with chicken, with cream cheese, with curd, you will discover all these new combinations, and then these could be used for businesses to increase the sales by choosing the right product placement, by using recommendations, by cross-selling, and also by giving discounts. So there are different strategies. So this data could be used by the businesses ultimately to increase their sales and profits. Okay, and I won't spend too much time on formatting these visuals. That's not the aim of this, basically this particular tutorial. The aim was that you learn how to use the DAX, write the DAX functions to calculate the key measures that you need for your basket analysis. So let's add a title for this chart. We're going to call it as basket analysis details. So go to formatting, go to general, and this title is switched off at the moment. Switch it on, and let's call it basket analysis detail. Center align it, change the size. Okay, and now another thing is, let's go and pick a theme. So quickly, view, let's see, not that one, this one. So you see this green color kind of matches with this, because we can't format this network chart. So let's choose a theme which kind of aligns with it, so the whole report looks pretty good now, and adjust the sizes. I'm going to do is, I'm going to make the backgrounds in the effects here, switch on the background and make it white, and it's on 50% at the moment. Actually, if I increase it to 0, this one also we're going to switch on the background, white, 0, and basket detail also we're going to switch on and make it white and 0. Okay, also for the backgrounds, the canvas background, let's pick a sort of gray color and reduce the transparency to 0. So there we have it. Just adjust the spacing, make them equal spacing there between the charts and the edges. And also, maybe last bit, we can add now a title for our report. So go to insert and text box. We're going to add here as basket analysis. And let's change the size to something quite big. Make it, change the font, so segue bold, and let's make it wide. Just, this is simple formatting, basically nothing funky here. I'm going to use a color theme so that it aligns with it, and then move it up there. And also we can add our measures here, a couple of measures. So I'm just going to add the total number of products, so total transactions. So that's one measure, and narrow it down. We'll try and put it under here. Okay, we might need to change the size, so the value, we can make it smaller, and the category label, we can make that also smaller to 10. So that's fine. Now also let's give it a background of white. And now let's replicate this, and we will put the total number of products here. And you can play around and add other things like average of support and other calculations as well if you want, but it's not necessary here in terms of what we are doing. And that's our report basically. So just to summarize, we started with the raw data, we prepared it for analysis, then we came to using DAX to create our new table called basket analysis, and we created this prod 1 prod 2 columns, which are the Cartesian products, so that we get a list of all the possible permutations and combinations of two products from all the products that were sold by this grocery store. And then we created the basket column, then we calculated the support, confidence, and lift, and then we visualize these using the relevant charts here. So that's the final report that we wanted. Now make sure you save your report. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. I'm going to call it groceries basket analysis and save. And also you can publish it to Power BI service. I'm going to publish it to my workspace. Okay, that's done. And in terms of beautifying your report, you can change the color of these titles and all those things. So sometimes you can spend as much time as you have basically to format these so they look good. So for this one also, let's change the color, and for last one as well. So that's pretty much done. Actually, our report looks pretty good now. So that's what we wanted to cover in this particular video. So that's it in terms of basket analysis. So we understood what is basket analysis. So it is an analytical technique used primarily by retailers to identify the association between items. So it's basically, in simple terms, it's a technique used to identify which products are commonly bought together. And then we looked at the use cases of basket analysis, and it's by retailers. It is used to look at product placement so that the products which are bought together are placed near to each other. For product recommendations, mainly on the online retailers like Amazon uses it. Then it is also used for cross-selling opportunities and also to find out and apply the right type of promotions. Okay. Also, it's not limited, its applications are not just limited to retailers. The basket analysis, it's also used in sort of performing analysis around website visitors, around looking at the dishes ordered in a restaurant, and so on and so forth. And then we also looked at the three key concepts of support, confidence, and lift, and how they help us perform the basket analysis. So support basically gives us the frequency of purchases or transactions where those two items are bought together. And the confidence gives us the direction of the relationship from cross-selling perspective. So we looked at the example of berries and whipped cream, where berries have that stronger cross-sell for whipped cream. So whenever somebody buys berries, there's a more opportunity to buy whipped cream. And last but not the least, we looked at the lift as well, which gives us the strength of the relationship between those two items in a basket. So support for frequency, and then the confidence to identify the direction of cross-selling, and lastly the lift is that helps us find out the strength of the relationship between the items in the basket. Then we looked at how to prepare data for basket analysis. Then we performed analysis using DAX. We calculated the total transactions, total number of products, and then we used DAX to create our basket analysis table. And then we also use DAX to create our calculated columns to calculate support and confidence and lift for each basket. And then we also looked at visualizing it. So we visualized using the downloaded the network visual, and we visualized that relationship there, and then we also created the scatter plot and a matrix. So that's it in terms of understanding basket analysis. I hope after watching this video and practicing along, you can confidently say that you understand this concept. And also, if you have any questions regarding what we have covered, feel free to leave a comment. And if you like the video, then please do like it and share it. And also, if you have not already done so, subscribe to the channel. And for any of you who have already subscribed, I really appreciate it. It's very early days for the channel, but it does take a lot of time and effort to create these videos, and your comments and your shares and also the subscribes help us with the motivation levels to keep on creating this content. And my aim is to create useful content that makes a difference in terms of your career prospects. So please do like and share the channel, and I will see you next time.